Hotter than the Boston Celtics. Nobody wants to see them come playoff time. They're up 18 here on the road against the Nuggets. They go up 21 with that Jason Tatum shot, and it's Tatum again from three here to put them up 24. And on their next possession, it's going to be Peyton Pritchard getting into the act, just like his teammates. 5 of 5 from three-point range, and they lead by 25 at the break. Largest home deficit the Nuggets have faced since drafting Nikola Jokic back in 2014. All their starters benched to begin the third, and so the Celtics just kept rolling. Jaylen Brown on the drive. He has 30. Tatum has 30. They each have 30 on back-to-back nights. They won 21 of their last 25. Denver now in 7th.
Sixers and Raptors, Hannah, second quarter as well. We start Joel Embiid with the drive, reverse layup, just 6 of 20 from the field for Embiid. He finished with 21 points, 13 boards. The Sixers would trail by 3 at the half. You know, Philly was up 16 in this, under 7 to play in the fourth. Sixers down 3. Embiid driving, somehow got it to go, and he was fouled. He made the free throw, tied at 82, under 3 to play. Pascal Siakam, fade away. He had 26 points, 10 boards, and the Raptors up 3 now. 7.1 seconds to play. Sixers down 2. James Harden with the drive, and he's going to be called for the charge. And then he got a flagrant one on top of that. Watch the right elbow. Boom. Raptors hold on to win 93 to 88. So the top of the Eastern Conference standings right now, look at it. It's a close race as the Heat lead it, but the Sixers only trail by 3.5 games. Bucks are ahead of them by a half a game, despite not being on top right now. The Bucks and Sixers actually have the shorter odds at Caesars to win the East and thus reach the finals, Hannah.
All right, well, let's get back into that with Tim, who knows the Sixers as well as anybody on the planet. And here they couldn't close out Toronto. Both Embiid and Harden failed to score in the final 4 minutes of that game. So in terms of finishing games, as we look down the stretch and into the playoffs, what's the best strategy for Philly going forward?
Well, Hannah, when you look at recent history and really history of the game in general, but certainly recent history, look at the components you have to win a championship. You have to have multiple elite offensive talent. Check. They check that box with Harden and Embiid. But then these other two areas is where it gets a little bit iffy for them. Teams also that win typically have good ball and player movement. Sometimes that's there for Philly, sometimes not. And they became very predictable in the fourth quarter of this game. Very Harden-centric, and that's not what you're going to need to win a championship. The final component, by the way, is plenty of three-point shooting to take pressure off of your star players. And that's where Philly is sorely lacking with their depth and their shooting ability. I thought last night was about as poorly as they could play offensively. 14 points in the quarter, a number of unforced turnovers. Tyrese Maxey, who is their third guy and a young up-and-coming emerging all-star caliber guard in this league, Hannah, by the way, took one shot in the entire quarter, and it was a meaningless dunk with 8 seconds to go. That's just not going to get it done. It's too predictable. It's too ISO-heavy. It's too one-set predominant. They've got to be a little bit more unpredictable. And when they go inside out with Embiid and allow Harden and Embiid to get in two-man game and get that ball moving, it makes their shooters better. So I got to see Philadelphia clean that up here over the last 10, 11 games, because right now there's some concern when you watch them. Are they going to be able to get through these elite defensive teams at the top of the East? The way that they played last night in the fourth quarter, there's no chance. They've got an opportunity here to bounce back against the Heat tonight. Let's see if they can operate better in a tight game against an elite defensive team.
Listen, they gave up some of that three-point shooting in the trade for Harden. And as you mentioned, big game tonight. Big litmus test. Harden says he's not going to sit even though it's a back-to-back. So we shall see. We'll check in with you tomorrow on this. Tim,
thanks. Hannah.
You know, I'm a kid from Akron. That's what it's about.
Kid from Akron coming home tonight. LeBron and the Lakers playing the Cavaliers. LeBron, you know, he's been back home a few times. December 2010, LeBron James looking to move into second all-time scoring in 2010. He was taking with the Heat and the Cavaliers, driving baseline, pulls up from mid-range. Dwayne Wade finds him for the layup, and there we go. He's got range. He can do whatever he wants to do. Finished that game 38 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists. November 2018, now with the Lakers. Driving, missed the layup, put back JaVale McGee to LeBron. Then Lonzo Ball, when he was on the Lakers, to James, layup, and LeBron's like, I'm just going to take it myself down the lane. Lakers won that game. LeBron had 32 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. Jump to the 2022 All-Star game hosted by Cleveland a few weeks ago. Team LeBron and Team Durant. Team Durant and LeBron with the steal, and Giannis giving it to him, and the 3 from the logo, and a turnaround over Zach LaVine, and ends the All-Star game 24 points, 6 boards, 8 assists. Team LeBron wins 163-160. You know, LeBron will always have love for Cleveland, but that doesn't mean he takes it easy on Cleveland. It's quite the opposite. LeBron 16-1 against the Cavaliers. Second best record against the player's former team in NBA history. He also has won 13 straight and scored at least 25 points in 11 straight games against the Cavaliers. So let's talk about it, welcoming in our Tim Legler. Hey, Tim, LeBron is averaging 35 points per game in his past 8 games. He's 37 years old. How do you put into context the run he's on at this stage of his career?
Well, it really defies logic. It certainly defies, Jay, what this game normally does to people's bodies by that age and all that mileage. It's really a testament to how much money he invests in his body, the level of condition that he is in, and how well he takes care of himself, because you should not be able to score at this level at this stage of your career. And unfortunately for LeBron, he's had no choice, because he's trying to carry this team across the finish line and get them into a favorable playoff situation. I think if it were up to LeBron, he would certainly not be scoring at this clip, because it would mean that they were winning games. And that's really the irony in all of this, because he's really a guy at this stage of his career that would much rather facilitate offense, but he's been forced to carry the burden. So it's really remarkable. And to think that by around the All-Star break next year, if he stays healthy, he is going to become the all-time leading scorer in the history of this league, when he has really always thought of himself primarily as a guy that wants to set the table for other people. Really remarkable when you think of how those two things will collide and make LeBron James the greatest scorer that this league has ever seen.
Tim, right now the Lakers are hanging on to that play-in spot, as are the Nets over in the East. Brooklyn trying to hold on to that 8th spot, which means they'd have 2 chances to make the playoffs. They're currently 1 game up on the Hornets for that 8th seed. Tough stretch this week with Utah, Memphis, Miami, and Charlotte. What is your level of confidence that this team can stay within that all-important top 8?
Yeah, look, I think they're not going to catch 7. There's 3 games back with 11 to play. They're not going to make up that kind of ground, particularly when they're still haven't put all their cards on the table, because Ben Simmons hasn't played. You've incorporated 2 other new starters in that trade. Kyrie Irving is still not playing every night, so I don't think they're going to be able to catch 7. Question is, can they hold off Charlotte and Atlanta? I think they can ultimately. I think this team will finish in the 8th spot. And Jay, what's interesting, despite that, this team is still considered a championship caliber team because of how good they can be on certain nights when they do have all their pieces. And we haven't even seen the impact of Ben Simmons. The one thing that they're fortunate, even though they're running out of time with him, he will come back and immediately have an impact, because the 2 things he does, create pace and guard people, those things can happen immediately. He doesn't need rhythm as a scorer. It's never been his game. So whenever they get Ben Simmons, they're better immediately the day he takes the court. And that's why I'm still confident they can finish 8 and then still be very, very dangerous coming out of the 8th spot in the East.
Brooklyn has 11 games left.